Welcome to the Jake and Josh podcast. I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh.
And you are listening to episode 32?
32, yeah.
32. We're divisible by 8 now.
It makes me realize how much we were kind of lackadaisical in the very beginning of hosting the podcast, because we've been doing this for 54 weeks, and we have 32 episodes.
Yeah.
And part of the reality is during spring and summer months, I think a few times I'll be like, hey, let's not podcast tonight. Let's
go play basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did happen several times.
I'm a sucker for that.
I'm a sucker for nice weather.
Yeah.
Hoops.
I'm already worried. Like this time next year, we're going to be like, thank you for listening to episode 33 of the podcast.
I'm a sucker for cornrows and manicured toes like Nelly.
I hope that's a song lyric.
It is.
So, Jake, so last week was our debut in video.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I watched a good chunk of it because I knew I was going to listen to it on my phone.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch part of it, and it was really weird watching myself talk.
Is it
a lot?
Yeah, I think the most hard to grasp piece of this is we're
how
famous.
How fucking good we look.
I freaking wish. I tried to not wear a Randy Marsh t-shirt this time.
But you did wear a South Park shirt, so that's almost just as good.
Yeah, like
remember?
I feel like a lot of guys will be like, I'm a giant man child, and the only way in which mine really comes out is my affinity for cartoon t-shirts.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a man child. I'm more of a child man pig.
Oh wow, are you super serial about it?
Super serial.
That's another South Park reference. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it was super cool. I think the coolest thing for me being in video is I'd always be like, man, who watches a podcast? And I'm not judging anyone who does.
Because we used to.
I mean...
No, we judged the people who watched the video of just the audio.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That's weird.
But now it's at least a semi-entertaining thing to watch. Like, I love Joe Rogan's podcast. I've never watched it.
Me either.
I love Kill Tony by Death Squad. Yeah. And it's basically an open mic night.
With Tony Hinchcliffe, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, it would really make sense to watch.
Yeah. Because then you can actually see the comedians that are coming up.
Yeah, and like when they make fun of what someone looks like, I can join in on the fun.
Exactly.
But I just don't watch podcasts.
And now people can make fun of us and how we look.
They probably already have.
So now this is going to be the last video episode.
Wait, actually, I just realized I did a moment of self-introspection. I would never watch a podcast, but I do watch like Dan Patrick or Mike and Mike, and that's like watching the radio.
Yeah. It's like it's like on Bob and Tom. You can, if you pay to be a VIP member, you can watch them do the show, the Bob and Tom show.
Is it still called Bob and Tom?
It's still the Bob and Tom show, but it's just Tom and
Christy Lee.
And Christy Lee.
Yeah. Do you know how Christy Lee got her job in radio?
On her knees.
That's probably how she worked her way up in radio. No. She actually worked an Arby's drive-thru and had just an impeccable voice, even as a young woman. And someone went through and I'm like, yeah.
Man, that's what I hoped happened to me when I worked at the Arby's drive-thru.
Yeah, seriously.
Man, you have a voice fit for radio and a face.
Just a face.
Well, a face fit for radio.
Oh, okay.
It's a nice way of saying that you're ugly. UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you belong on radio.
You have a voice for muted television. I was trying to make an equivalent and it didn't really pan out.
And a face for neither.
Ouch.
You have a face como un burro.
Like a donkey? Wow. I don't know where I held on to burro means donkey. Could you imagine if a blind person ever called you ugly? Like they felt your face and were just like, ugh.
The only person that probably ever happened to was that Rocky Dennis kid from Mask.
Who's Rocky Dennis?
The kid from the movie Mask.
Wait, okay, so
the Elephant Man, where he's got the really fucked up face.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what his disease was.
Probably elephantitis. I legit think that's the name of a disease.
It is the name of a disease.
Have you ever seen the Tree Man? The guy who's like growing a tree out of him?
Yeah.
That's got to be fake, right?
It looks fake.
I hope.
I hope it's fake too, for my sake, because I don't want to believe that Ents are real.
You don't want to believe that what?
Ents.
What is an Ent?
in the Lord of the Rings movies, they had the walking trees.
Oh, that's what they were talking about in Clerks 2.
Yeah, they're called Ents.
It's like, even the trees are walking.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Got it. I thought it was the first part of a gay club house music. Ents, ents, ents.
There was one of my favorite cosplays of the last year that I saw was a guy dressed up as one of the walking trees from Lord of the Rings, and he was carrying around one purse over his shoulder, and he was the one purse Ent.
Oh my god.
I loved it.
I love pun or wordplay. A pun is
Which
wordplay.
is a pun.
Yeah. But, like, I feel like a pun typically has a punchline or a humor, but when you come up with costumes, like one year I wore a white shirt and I drew a big orange circle and I had devil horns and I was a deviled egg. And like that was
That's pretty weak.
My wordplay. It's low-hanging fruit for sure.
Last year, one of the guys I work with, he wore a white T-shirt with the word "life" written on it, and he carried around a handful of lemons all day and handed them to people.
Lemons. That's brilliant.
He won worst costume.
When life gives you
do
lemons.
You win? Like if it's a worst something contest, do you really win that contest?
There's like the world's ugliest doll contest. Inherently, the loser is the winner.
That's true.
And has to live with himself for the rest of their 10 years.
There was a joke I remember from a movie, and it was if my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave his ass and teach him to walk backwards.
Dang, that's harsh. It's 6 minutes and 19 seconds. Should we
already?
Yeah, dude, man, we're flying.
That went quick.
Okay, so we did this one way last week. We're gonna do it a different way this week, and
hopefully we'll probably do it a different way next week.
Yeah, the hardest part of starting a podcast is building continuity.
Yeah.
But so we're on undiscoveredrockradio.com. We play on, which is hosted out of Melbourne. So we play on Mondays and
Australia.
Wednesdays. Yeah, but it plays in America on Sundays and Tuesdays. But anyways, they have sponsors, and they play their commercials during the shows that they run. So we're going to pause for commercials, and then our music, and then we'll come back to the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you don't hear the commercials, you're listening in America, and we love you for that.
If you don't hear the commercial, you're listening pretty much anywhere else but Undiscovered Rock Radio.
I mean, all the other places but that. All right, so we're going to pause now.
Coming at you live from Building 7 in New York, it's the only show that always has its dick out for Harambe, making America okay again. It's the Jake and Josh Podcast.
And now we're back. Now we're back.
So
I wonder what that commercial was about.
Who knows?
I haven't listened to it yet. Do you know what commercials they play? I haven't listened on Undiscovered Rock Radio yet.
No, actually, so the last episode that it played was the one before when we started telling them when to put the commercial break.
So 30?
Yeah. Which, okay, it's confusing as heck, but long story short, I basically told him find a spot, and I listened for like 15 minutes, and I didn't hear it, so...
It's probably just midway. He'd probably just cut us off in the middle of this, and we're back.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's not what actually happened.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. So I said one thing before the break that is a recent thing I'm realizing I do, and it's the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
For anyone who's unfamiliar, Jake, please explain what I do all the time.
He grabbed my balls. They're low-hanging fruit.
Good one.
Yeah.
That was actually low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I know.
So I take the easiest joke outlet possible, and I realized, like, if I ever worked at like an apple orchard, someone would walk through it one day and they'd be like, why are all the apples at the top of the tree? I'm like, because I only picked the low-hanging fruit.
It didn't play.
Whoa.
What the fuck happened?
This is what we get for switching to Apple.
That's what we get. I fucking bought an iPhone, and now I'm trying to play the soundboard off of it, and it's not doing shit.
Just hit a button.
Wait, it's because I turned off my ringer, I bet. Yep, that's why it is. There we go. Nope.
Dang.
What the fuck happened?
All right, we do not have a soundboard this episode.
All right, we're going rogue. No soundboard. We're gonna have to make
the soundboard used to fill like 20 minutes of each hour-long episode.
We're gonna have to get by on the merit of our own content this episode.
So this will be quick.
This episode is gonna be 32 minutes long.
We're
gonna revisit the Denzel thing.
You're black, you're angry, and
you're black, you're angry, and your soundboard doesn't work.
Jake right now. Okay.
That's me.
Okay, so one thing I do want to talk about today, and whenever I think throughout the week, like what I want to talk about on each episode, my big fear is that like a generic topic, or have people actually not thought about this before?
Right.
But
because we talked about, the original content versus original thought.
No, organic versus original.
Whatever, fucking.
But no, so my thought is, I realize in recent years, meme humor might be like a new type. I mean, obviously it's a new thing that everyone shares memes constantly, and God, every time I go to a family function, there's that one person that has to show me all the memes on their phone. I'm
Those
like,
dank memes.
oh my God. But the point is, I think it's changing how we find things funny, because now you need a visual with the joke.
Now instead of telling a joke, you find a picture and then you put your joke on that picture.
Yes, and it makes it infinitely more funny. Like,
for whatever reason.
and it's weird. So sometimes the joke goes, like, wouldn't stand alone.
Correct.
So, for instance, I saw this one. It's like this old, creepy African statue thing, and it has 3 heads, and the heads are, like, pulling off of the body in all different directions. And it's like when you got 3 different family Christmases to go to, or something like that. And, like, if someone just said, when you have 3 family Christmases to go to, I'd be like, cool. But then you add that statue thing, and I think part of the humor is how obscure that statue is and how you found it a way to fit your real-life scenario. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can burp into the mic. We're grown-ass men.
We're grown-ass men.
We're grown-ass man-childs.
Ass-man-child pigs. Ass-man-child Big Burger syndrome.
Okay, we both have Asperger's. What we're getting to.
So, for one, I will never not crack up on a SpongeBob meme.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, every time.
But part of it, okay, so part of it is that it's like, I don't know if this is already a literary term, but visual irony. Okay,
yeah.
So SpongeBob is like happy, gay. Gay means happy. I'm being redundant.
Yeah.
That
also means he's a homosexual.
Yeah, and then like, I can't even think of a SpongeBob meme except for the one where Patrick's like, "Let's take all the bad chemistry jokes and bury them." But that's not really what I'm getting at. Like, there's some that are kind of dark.
Right.
And it's funny because SpongeBob would never be that dark.
SpongeBob's gotten dark on some occasions. When he decided to not leave his house, and he's talking about bringing all his friends over, and he draws them all on his fingers. And he's like, "The gang's all here," and starts crying.
See, I wish I would have had kids in the era of the beginning of SpongeBob, because that's something where like my kid would look at me like, "Why was that funny for you?"
SpongeBob's still great, by the way.
Do they still make new episodes?
They still make new episodes. The old episodes are still great. Like, even like now.
Oops, I ripped my pants. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the first 3 or 4 seasons of SpongeBob was perfect, and it's still funny even now.
You know what's weird? As a child, you never think of a show as being in seasons. Like, I don't.
Right. You just remember that SpongeBob came on.
It was either an episode you haven't seen or you have seen.
But it's because pretty much all children's shows, they're non-serialized shows. So there's just random episodes just played in
they were
blocks.
serial killers. Low-hanging fruit.
I wish the soundboard would play.
Let's
just try it again.
We can be the soundboard.
Wah, wah, wah. That was SpongeBob.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there's some people who you would look at and be like, "Oh, this person doesn't have a sense of humor," but for whatever reason, they find memes hilarious. Like, that is their sense of humor now.
Yeah.
Like, you and I, we get by, we tell jokes, make puns, have funny anecdotes, but a lot of people, their sense of humor is exclusively memes.
Well, and also, so there's a difference between, and that's a differentiation I've always tried to make. There's a difference between having a good sense of humor and being funny.
That is true.
So if you have a good sense of humor, you find things that are intended to be funny, you don't get offended, you don't get butt hurt.
But you may not be funny yourself.
Right, you couldn't...
Like us.
You couldn't generate or create... You couldn't have that organic content come from you.
Like you wouldn't be making the memes.
Right.
You would be consuming them.
Dude, I've probably only made 4 memes that have ever, like, garnered any attention.
I've made several, but I usually either just share them with you. Like that's like the limit of my close circle of friends.
Every, like, twice a year, I'll just pick a day, and I'm like, fuck it. Anyone that...
It's meme day.
Yeah, I'm only texting in memes all day.
That's a fun way to do things.
That's one of my favorites. But, like, one thing, I'm always kind of nervous if a meme I make is going to be funny, and so what I do is I'll test it, and I'll be like, oh my god, look what I saw on Reddit.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it on Reddit. I made it.
Yeah, I do that anytime I'm about to tell a joke to my girlfriend.
Yep.
Hey, I read this on Facebook somewhere, and then I'll read it back, and then I'll wait for her reaction, and usually, you know,
it's a stronger reaction if it's not from you.
And then she'll be like, who said that? And I'm like, me. Yeah. And then it's not funny anymore.
Dude, okay, so your girlfriend and my wife, I feel like are in the same boat of they're just tired of our senses of humor.
Yeah,
and the one thing I've never understood is...
It's probably exhausting to them.
But I don't get that, because, like, I haven't tired of your sense of humor, and...
But we don't live together.
This is true.
Yet.
One day. I don't know, when I find funny people, I never get burnt on that. Even if it's the same type of joke, which I think is what they get tired of with us.
Well, I think it's just, in our specific cases, like you and I, we can just keep going back and forth on the same, just the same the same line of thinking. I think there was one day for 20 minutes we went back and forth with bird puns, just not even on the podcast. Like,
and then we had to swallow our prides.
Boo. But yeah, we did bird puns for like 20 minutes, and they were both ready to murder us. But that's like, you and I don't get tired of that, but that constant, just all the time, we're trying to think of what's the funniest thing to say in this situation.
Yeah,
I can see how that probably would be pretty.
And with you and I, we can see our wheels turning. Like, I know it's cooking sometimes when you're like thinking of one.
Yeah, you can smell smoke.
Probably. Shit, there was something. Dang, I had something and I lost it.
You should have wrote it down.
I should have. But, like, I don't know. The one thing I think, too, is, and I really haven't thought about your sense of humor a ton in this respect, but, like, I used to just try to be offensive.
Yeah.
And now, I think mine has changed more to try to make people uncomfortable.
Which are different things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times if you're uncomfortable, it's an offensive topic, or it's a topic where, depending on how you phrase something, could easily offend someone. But, and at one point in time, like, to equate it to my favorite stand-up comedians, at one point in time, my favorite comedian was Anthony Jeselnik.
Yes.
Who almost exclusively just said offensive quip after offensive quip.
Yes.
And now, it's kind of, I think it's Louis C.K. officially is my favorite current comedian. He says semi-offensive things, but it's more so that it makes people uncomfortable. So on SNL, did you ever see his
monologue?
Monologue,
that's
the word. Yeah. Where he equated God to being like a wife beater, and then talked about why we were wife beaters, and everyone's okay with that name. And like, I mean, he got a lot of flack for it publicly, which should have been expected. But
it was funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. But I think it just made everyone uncomfortable because you don't want to think about God as this white trash, wife beater wearing thing.
He's a dude who comes out in public with a robe and sandals on. He's white trash.
Every time I think of God, I picture George Washington from The Nickel. As far back, I know that's weird. Dude, I remember being like 3 or 4 years old, sitting in the back of my parents' car.
Why does Jesus have a powdered wig?
What was the significance of powdered wigs?
I think it was a British thing.
Man, that's so weird. Probably because of the old political party wigs, I would assume.
I think the wigs came later because it was WHIGS.
Oh, god dang it. You're right.
I know.
Good one. But yeah, and then the other part with, well, the only last aspect of meme humor I wanted to mention is Bo Burnham had this song one time where he talked about the thing that makes people laugh the most is if something's relatable.
Yeah.
And the example I think you use in the song is like pointing out public bathrooms have really bad hand dryers.
Yeah.
And he's like, that makes people laugh because they're like, holy crap, I've dealt with that before.
The song's called What's Funny, and it was the intro to Words, Words.
It literally is, yeah.
Yeah.
God dang, I love that you know his discography in order.
Yeah. It's from his second album, Words, Words, Words.
And it's the first one. But like, I think too, and when I say meme humor, it can also be GIFs, because like there's this not reaction GIF, there's just a GIF of this monkey, and it's like carrying an orange, as an orange in one foot, and it's just hopping around with oranges to like get somewhere really quick. And it's like when there's food in the break room for freers. and like, but that's the thing, people laugh at it so much because they're like, oh my god, I love when there's food in the break room. And then you see this.
It's relatable.
Yeah. So that's weird.
I think that's why the memes are so like such a big hit right now, because they are pretty easily relatable. Because it's pretty, like, you know, there's scenarios that people are like, oh yeah, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. There was a old documentary, I think it's called, and I've seen a few documentaries. It's
called Remember the Titans.
I've seen a few documentaries about stand-up comedy, so I might be getting mixed up, so don't fact-check this. But I think it's called I Am Comic, and Tim Allen, of all unexpected sources of comedic inspiration, he's talking about one of the differentiating factors of funny people versus just people with a good sense of humor is funny people can recognize like when something's funny and kind of take it out of the situation and then formulate that into a joke, sort of.
Yeah.
And I think where that applies to meme humor is people find these relatable moments. Like, I mean, think about your day. You probably have, let's say you have 100 moments, just using a fake number. 90 of them are probably not super relatable.
Yeah. I only had 76 moments today.
We have several hours left. I'll give you some moments.
All right.
That got hot. But anyway, you probably have those. You probably have those like 10 to 15 moments that everyone has. Food in the break room, or multiple Christmas parties to go to in the same day, or like whatever. And so being able to spot that,
or that Mr. Krause meme where he's like looking around when she gets the code for your phone.
Oh, and it's blurry behind him. Yeah. Jesus.
I just hit the microphone boom.
Thank God for fingerprint scanners.
Thank the Lord.
Dude, you know how... Okay, this is not meme humor anymore. We're changing the topic.
Oh, okay.
You know what's really interesting?
We're changing gears.
With the advent of technology and internet and like all the ways that people can communicate now, it's crazy to me how much the world is set up to help you cheat if you needed to. So you have incognito mode was like the first time... I remember reading...
It's for planning parties.
Yes, that was their first explanation. I'll never forget. But I'm like, okay, Google.
I'm going to advertise for Dr. Pepper real quick.
Cherry Dr. Pepper, actually. Which makes me think of another Bo Burnham song where he's doing when he made fun of country music. Yeah. It's like Coke with the label out. Because they got to get that product placement. But anyways, what was I talking about?
You were talking about...
so I'm on Facebook the other day, and I'm doing a Facebook chat with someone.
You're doing a bit.
Maybe. I'm doing a Facebook chat with someone, and I got a notification that he changed my nickname, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, what the hell is that? And then there's these three dots on the far right, and you click on it, and you can like set a nickname for this person if you don't want it to show up on your phone as who it actually is.
Right.
But then also you can have a private conversation on Facebook, which is counterintuitive.
Is that different than Messenger?
Well, oh yeah, Messenger. Sorry, whatever.
Gotcha.
Well, Facebook Messenger. I don't know if there's a thing just called Messenger, and there's a thing called Facebook Messenger, and there's a thing called Facebook
Messenger is just called Messenger.
Okay,
now.
So on Messenger, but basically, this private conversation can only be seen on the single device on which that conversation happens.
Wow.
I'm
I'm impressed by that.
Man, but I seriously
brought to you by Ashley Madison.
I mean, honestly, I bet there have been meetings before Facebook or Google, and they're like, okay, we have got to find a way to... If guys can cheat on our services, but then get caught cheating, they're going to quit using our services. So we've got to find a way...
That's true.
I mean, but I'd love to be in that boardroom where that's the conversation that they have.
Look, we don't want to encourage people to cheat, but that's what people are using this for. How do we prevent them from getting caught?
That's what everything... I work in a hotel that has over 1,000 guest rooms. At any one point in time, I look up and I just know someone is cheating above me. Like,
It should be they should.
And I work in the basement. Like we should specify. That's why I'm looking up. Okay.
Trying to find your hopes and dreams. What they should do. I'm offering up suggestions. So if you like this idea, pay me for it. They should just put fingerprint sensor technology into the screen of the phone, and then if anybody with a different set of fingerprints from you tries to enter your passcode, it wipes any private conversations from the phone. It automatically deletes your text messages, clears out your cache from Snapchat.
Okay, you're going to have to combine two things. One, smart technology to be able to recognize when you're cheating or when you're having those conversations. But then two, the retina scanner, whoever's looking at the phone, they're like, oh, they can't see this. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Samsung
tried to do that with the Note 7. They had the hidden folder that didn't actually show up on the home screen.
What?
There's a private folder that they put on the Note 7.
Yes.
That you could drag like pictures, text messages, contacts, apps to. So you could actually download that Pornhub app onto your phone and have it hidden and not actually have the app show up on your phone. But only you would know where the folder was, and only you had access to it. And you could use the retina scanner iris scanner to unlock the folder.
Okay, so you know how sometimes when we want to talk about someone that we mutually know, but we switch the first letter of their last name. Yeah. I can't do that with this kid because they're both A's. But do you remember Lex?
Do you remember Malix Mabel?
Oh, I forgot that was okay. His middle name started with an A. Okay, so he had this tic-tac-toe app on his phone. I'll never forget. But if you hit like one of the X's X amount of times, okay,
porn.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa. And that was probably even before incognito mode. I'm like, God damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, but he was a cheating motherfucker.
He really was. So now he's married to the girl he cheated on a bunch.
Which probably says a lot to her character.
Oh, God. She's a hero in our eyes.
She's who all women should aspire to be.
Man, she even let him take a 1-year break to just get it out of his system.
Yeah. Just come back to me when you're ready.
He got a hall pass for a year. He skipped 1 year of school.
And relationship.
Yeah.
He got to get all of his, desires out of the way.
Man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
One can only wish.
If only someone looked at me the way that he looked at other women.
Oh, that reminds me of the other meme of that little black kid's looking at ketchup, and it's like, if only people looked at me the way this kid looks at ketchup. God, that's so relatable.
It is. I love the ones, I want someone to look at me the way Joe Biden looks at Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I want that level of friendship. I feel like I've watched them become best friends over the course of the last 8 years.
They could have been a better duo.
There could not have been a better duo as president and VP.
I seriously, as much as people are upset about Trump and some people are upset about Hillary, I just want to keep Barack.
Yeah.
If we can make an exception and be like, hey, we found such a good leader, we're not going to change the law because it's highly unlikely. I mean, it took us 240 years to get a president this good.
Yeah.
And it's not even to say his political policies because he might have fucked some stuff up and I'm just not involved enough.
I just want them to just be a constant presence in my life still. I need them to start their own reality show.
Or host the next Celebrity Apprentice after Schwarzenegger's doing the one starting in January.
Right.
And Donald Trump's still an executive producer for that show, which is just weird.
Executive producer, the president of the free world.
POTUS.
I love that acronym.
I like FLOTUS better.
First lady.
Yeah.
I like SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States.
What if we ever have a gay president, FAMOTUS, First Man of the United States? His husband would be.
Or if we have a female president who's married. They should call him the first lad, that way you can still call him the FLOTUS.
Probably that's what they would do.
Or first gentleman, FGOTUS.
Abe FGOTUS.
R.I.P. in peace. I only remember Abe Vigoda from the fucking Good
Beastie
Burger.
Boys.
No, from the Good Burger movie. When he works at Good Burger.
He does.
Yeah, and he slips and falls in the story. He's like, "Can somebody take me to the hospital? I think I broke my ass."
Man.
And I remember that was the first time I think I heard the word ass in a movie.
Yeah. Without taking it from a larger word like grass or mass or anything like that.
Or, seeing it in a kid's movie, like that was Nickelodeon made that movie so for them to have
That's true.
For them to drop an A-bomb.
They tried to butter it up by giving you the VHS and it was orange.
You're about to hear some curse words, kids.
Man. Actually, it's a pretty generic topic, but it's always weird to me whenever you do go back and watch those movies. Like, I watched Rugrats in
Catching
Paris.
all the innuendo?
Yes! Man, Phil and Lil's mom was a freak.
Yeah.
Because the dad was like, he comes out of the hotel room, he's like holding his back, and she comes out and she's like, "Crazy night, huh?" And then smacks him on the butt. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
Phil and Lil's mom and dad were into pegging.
I don't even think they made twins. I think they had sex twice that quick, like back to back.
Betty was her name. I don't remember the dad's name.
I just remember it looked like a really young Krusty the Clown. Same shaped head. That was not the soundboard.
Yeah, and it was almost good.
Yeah.
In the first Rugrats movie, when Dill Pickles is born.
Dude, I already can't remember the plot of that one.
That was the one where Dill was born and they escape in the Reptar wagon and get lost in the woods.
Yep, okay. Because I had the watch from Burger King.
So at the beginning of the movie, they're in where all the babies go after they're born. And this is set in China, so it's actually the dumpster. At least all the female ones. Oh. But they're singing the song, it's kind of a song, I think, at the beginning, and they're talking about, they cut my cord, and then this other, one of the babies is, like, looking in his diaper, and he's like, "Consider yourself lucky."
Oh.
Like, they slipped a circumcision joke in the freaking Rugrats, and I loved it. I watched it, like, fairly recently and picked that up, and I was like, holy fuck.
One of my bosses, she was telling me a story. Her son is like 2 or 3. When he was born, he had to get a second surgery after the circumcision on his penis because the vein was twisted.
His main vein.
Yeah, his man vein. And I was just like, I don't know, that could be enticing for women somewhere down the road, a crazy straw. A bendy straw. And it's pretty much guaranteed to make his wiener later angled. And I'm like, is that where all angled? Like, is that what happened to me?
No, you just got kicked in it really hard.
I'm probably dead. No, I wore tighty whities too long.
just stuck.
Dude, I was like 9 when someone was like, there's shorts you can wear under your pants. And I'm like, what?
Boxers.
Keep going.
It's like what happened to me today where you lay on a pillow wrong and your hair just stays one way.
I do that sometimes.
I do that all the time.
I just picture the SpongeBob meme where he's got his hands and he makes a rainbow, and it's like when someone tells you about boxers. Like, I just made a meme. Okay.
You just described a meme.
Yeah. I have the, what's it? The intellectual patent on that meme now.
I don't think that's correct.
That's not a thing.
Well, there is intellectual copyright, but what you're talking about, since it's already been created.
You are correct, sir. Since we have talked about Rugrats and OG SpongeBob
and Abe FGOTUS
which might actually be the name of the episode. I wrote it down. I do want to talk a little bit about, and I'm wearing the Memberberry shirt kind of on purpose now.
Retroactively on purpose.
No, I thought about this a week ago. Hold on.
Nice. You can burp into the mic. We're adults.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever... Fucker. And this is the one thing, like, I don't know if it's always been this way, and we're just realizing it because we're adults now, but I feel like nostalgia is marketed to us.
Yes.
Let me use a few examples, so one I thought about is Bill Nye. When I was in, like...
The science guy.
well, now he's like the politics guy and some shit.
Bill.
But 3rd and 4th grade, I mean, we just watched those. What were those giant? Do you remember the giant like vinyl DVDs that they?
Laserdisc. It's called Laserdisc.
Really?
It's called Laserdisc.
Okay, I just remember her popping in a DVD. I'm like, oh, this must be Blu-ray. Like I didn't know.
It's Laserdisc.
And this is 10 years before Blu-ray, so I have the intellectual.
The retroactive intellectual patent on Blu-ray.
I will have had the patent. But anyways, you just watched Bill Nye videos.
I would have had.
You would have had. And he's like, now you know, and like, Bill, and all that stuff.
Bill.
And now he's back.
Yeah, he's got his Netflix show coming back, too.
Yeah, Netflix. He's like a presence on Twitter, and it's super weird. Pokemon, kind of, Pokemon never completely fell off, but you think about the popularity when I think you would have been like 4th or 5th grade.
Yes.
Because I was still in 3rd, and I got held back. But anyways, it was huge.
By my mom. His mom literally like held him back at the steps of the school.
She also tried to hold me back in her uterus. Wait, is that where babies are?
Yeah.
For some reason, I got that word mixed up after I said it with urethra, and I'm like, oh, that sounds weird. Okay, uterus. But anyways, Pokemon was huge. And maybe Pokemon was even bigger at the time because...
Still is huge.
Well, it's huge again, but I feel like maybe Pokemon became really popular the first time because the card game just came out.
Yeah.
At the same time
and the show.
Yeah, the show hit America, and Game Boys went from that giant gray brick to, I think when I was in the 5th grade, we had like Game Boy Colors.
Yeah, they came out with like the Game Boy Pocket, and then they came out with the Game Boy Color.
Which was like the iPod Mini, pretty much.
Yeah.
Man, that was weird.
But it's still in black and white, though.
Yeah. But, so I think all those things happening at once kind of made Pokemon huge, and then it still survived, obviously, but then when Pokemon hit... I mean, as soon as they said augmented reality, they're like, Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be Pokemon. But why? Because when we were 10, we played Pokemon, and now we're closing in on 30-ish, and we have cell phones that can run augmented reality, and we're the target market.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of 9 or 10-year-olds are going to have I hope, have cell phones.
You'd be surprised. Average age of a kid who has a cell phone is like 9.5.
Man.
It's crazy.
On one hand, that bothers me, but on the other hand, I'm like, you know, when I was, I think 10, my dad got me a beeper, so if he ever needed to...
I really wanted one.
Oh, it's so annoying. Everyone's like, oh, you have diabetes. I'm like, no, it's diabetes. I don't want to say
I just made the camera unfocus by leaning back too far.
Well, actually, I left a setting on to where it follows your face, so in theory, if we both went like that way, it would... Whoa.
What'd you just do?
If we went that way...
You're making the colors change.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, back to... We need to not be
back
so
to
meta.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else that's like super nostalgic that...
Star Wars.
Oh, God.
Capitalizing on shit that happened 40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like you could beat a dead horse with that one with how many movies they reprise and then redo the reprising.
But like reboots are huge right now. It's like it feels like 90% of the movies that come out are reboots or remakes. Or sequels.
Yeah. Part of me feels like it's lack of creative ideas now.
No, it's because the creative ideas aren't like blockbusters. The ones that are good creative movies, they don't get the blockbuster presence. It's the movies that they've realized that the movies that make the most money are sequels, reboots, and remakes.
I think that's why I love Netflix originals so much now.
Yes.
And I'm realizing Netflix doesn't make all these on their own. But
they produce them.
Some they don't even do that. Some they buy the rights to post-production.
Yeah.
So especially if like, there was one with Juno that just came out. Tallulah, which is on Netflix.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it just came out last month, and I think it went to Sundance or something, and then it never like made it to theaters, so they're like, we'll take it, and it was terrible. But I like Netflix originals because it feels like they're trying to find the most out there things. Black Mirror, I've only watched 3 episodes of, but it was just unique. And in today's world, if it's unique, I at least enjoy it.
Stranger Things.
And then
But Stranger Things kind of capitalizes on that nostalgia part, too.
Oh, because it's like 1980s and Winona Ryder. Yeah, but if you had to describe Stranger Things, you'd be like, okay, there's an alternate reality with this one monster, and maybe it's the girl. The girl likes Eggos. Winona Ryder puts lights over the wall, and they blink whenever the kid is close by.
I haven't fucking watched all of Stranger Things yet.
If you haven't by now, you're not gonna. That shit's been out for 2 months.
I watched. I'm like 3/4 of the way through episode 2. I got interrupted by a crying baby in the middle of the night while trying to marathon some season.
Just know that kid without teeth does not grow teeth.
The brown one, not the black one. The brown one.
He is kind of bronzish. But anyways, and then this new show, the OA, which I think just came out this week. I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. And I know you haven't watched it yet. I'm not going to ruin any key plot developments, but it's like, man, there's this alternate dimension. Her nose bleeds too. She eats a bird. I mean, it's just all over the place. And I don't know if it's good, but again, it's original, so I enjoy it for now. Last example of nostalgia, Carson Daly is now on the Today Show.
Good Lord.
I feel like, and it's because when I was 10, I watched him on TRL.
The Daily Show with Carson Daly.
Yeah. The Today Show. But I feel like, did he get better in his career and then get better jobs? No, yeah.
Well, technically he did. He went to work at NBC for a while.
Did he?
Yeah, he's worked at NBC for a while now.
Dang.
I think he does like the New Year's Eve show too.
Yeah, I mean, he's always hosted those little things, but to be on like a show that I feel like is catered for, I don't know, 30 to 40-year-olds. Like, it's not the news, but it's also not your local news. It's like...
And it's not like Carson Daly's funny. Probably funnier than Trevor Noah.
When I'm in the I'm trying to think, TRL, I would have been 4th or 5th grade again. Like, Pokemon and TRL was my life back then, I guess.
When I go to TRL, look how many hugs I get. That was White America. That was 2002. So I'd have been 12. So I'd have been 7th grade.
Yeah, so middle school. But like now, again, we're closing in on 30, and now it's the Today Show. And I feel like...
Don't tell me that I'm closing in on 30. That's just depressing.
Really? 1 year closer to death. Ugh. Can't wait.
Can't wait!
All right, so nostalgia.
Nostalgia. Crossing that off the list. We didn't actually have it on.
Yeah, I don't...
He just wrote nostalgia down and crossed it on the list.
That'd be weird. All right, last random thing that I can think of that I wanted to talk about today. I had to internalize a burp.
Burping.
I wanted to keep that one. I knew it had Reese's in it.
Wanted to still taste that magic.
Dude, is it weird? My favorite flavor burp is tzatziki sauce from Euros.
Oh, like you get that little cucumber at the end.
Oh,
like you get the spice and the sauce at first, and then you get that nice, like, refreshing cucumber at the end.
And something about my stomach acid doesn't break it down. Like, it's not tzatziki with acid. It's just tzatziki again. It's twice the flavor, same calories. Which is gross to think about.
So nice, I ate it twice.
What was that originally?
Couscous. The food so nice, they named it
Pineapple
twice.
Express. Dang.
Which was probably, said some other time too.
So one thing I was thinking about, and it's weird, I don't feel like enough people acknowledge how young America is. Like, we're a world power, and 99% of that is because we became a world power when technology just fucking skyrocketed. If we were a world power in the time of, like, rocks being your tools, we probably wouldn't have done too hot.
We wouldn't have really had a concept of world power at that point.
We'd actually be Native Americans. Because that's what happened. But anyways, so with certain things, I always think about, man, in 1,000 years, when we're 1,200 years old, how different will this thing be?
You mean when you and I are 1,200 years old?
I hope to die by 60.
Welcome to episode 28,468 of the Jake and Josh podcast.
Bullshit. If global warming keeps up, it's going to be welcome to episode 34 of the podcast.
Welcome to episode... This is a basketball shit. Welcome to episode 44 of the Jake and Josh Waterworld podcast.
God, I fucking hate that movie.
The Castaway podcast with Jake and Josh.
And Wilson. Okay. Okay, so the example that I was thinking of, and it just blew my mind, is the NFL Hall of Fame. Because right now the NFL has been in effect for, I'm going to guess, almost 100 years. Because I feel like the Bears, the Chiefs, the Packers, and that might have been the only 3 teams. Started
the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
They're a really old
St. Louis
team.
Cardinals, though.
Yeah.
But they would have started early 1900s.
The St. Louis football Cardinals.
Yeah, not that bullshit baseball team. But anyways, so for the Hall of Fame now, I mean, I feel like there's already a shitload of players in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, if you can just Google it and scroll through the list of names, and you're like, okay, that's a lot. What if the NFL lasts for 1,000 years, which I highly doubt. But you would literally, I mean, do they start getting a whole lot more picky about who gets in?
See, that's one of the things that I'm curious about. They're going to have to be a lot more picky with quarterbacks and wide receivers who they let in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because of, running backs, I feel like they've gone by the wayside a lot. Like the traditional, running backs are going to get 25 to 30 touches a game. You have Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson still kind of hanging around.
Sort of.
David Johnson. And then who else do you have?
I'm actually...
Zeke Elliott.
Side tangent. I'm amazed that Zeke Elliott's not in the conversation yet. He's gonna beat up some woman.
Allegedly, he already did.
Yeah, twice. But I am amazed David Johnson's already in that conversation. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
at the rate he's going.
I'm saying running backs who are capable of being that 25 to 30 down back.
Oh, gotcha,
you don't see it a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
Almost every team utilizes like a 2 or 3 backs system.
And I feel like when that first started being a thing, that pissed some backs off. But now they're realizing, oh man, I'm going to be fresher and healthier when my team needs me.
Yeah, I can.
Like Freeman and Coleman in Atlanta.
Yeah,
they've gotta love splitting carries.
Yeah, you don't have to work as hard. You're not getting hit 40 times a game.
Yeah, Frank Gore and Robert Turbin. I mean, I know they're not. Well, Turbin's not a household name, but
still.
Yeah, killing the game.
But you see, like, Le'Veon Bell, Adrian Peterson, maybe Zeke Elliott, David Johnson. Those are the only guys that came to the league recently that I can think of being, Hall of Fame worthy. Frank Gore probably is in that conversation, but he's not like at that level. He's not Hall of Fame level production anymore.
Yeah.
But there's just not a lot of those guys left. But wide receivers, you got guys that are like Demaryius Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Brandon Marshall's really good, but
yeah, but they're not Hall of Fame.
But that's what I'm saying. But these guys are gonna, at the end of their careers, they're gonna pass up a lot of these guys statistically who are already in the Hall of Fame, and you're gonna look at it and be like, statistically speaking, well, this guy had better stats than this guy. He's already in the Hall of Fame. So why?
Yeah, and that guy, you stick him.
Yeah. So are you going to tell me that Demaryius Thomas is going to get in the Hall of Fame? To me, he's not. He has too many drops to be in the Hall of Fame.
This is how.
But like, he doesn't pass the eye test for me for Hall of Fame. Like, he doesn't look like a Hall of Fame receiver. But statistically speaking, he's going to pass up a lot of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame already.
Okay, but this is
same with quarterbacks.
To make the point with the receivers, like. And you're absolutely right. It's got to be so much more strict of who gets in and how much production do you have to do. Like, it's crazy to think. I don't think any current player is on pace to even get close to Jerry Rice. But like even Antonio Brown, who's arguably the most
I forgot
dominant,
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but like Antonio Brown, even given what he's done, if his career doesn't last 8 more years at that same production level or close, I'll concede he's going to have a little bit of a drop off. He doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham is going to have to play consistently for forever
to be able to break Jerry Rice's record.
No, he won't even do that. But like, if you get top 10, I don't know. So anyway, with the Hall of Fame, they're either going to have to, and they'll never take people out, but they're going to either have to get more strict or be like, okay, we're just going to build a building over the entirety of Canton, Ohio, and it's going to be 9 stories, and then people will go on tours, like 2-day tours through.
You already can do that though.
I mean, but it's going to be like 800 years ago, a man named Ed Reed destroyed Jeff Garcia twice in the same game.
But see, that's a little different, though, because defensive players, I think, are still going to... Defense has pretty much stayed the same. Like, you don't have, like, crazy... Like, the good linebackers are still putting up 150-plus tackles every year.
But everything has to be more strict.
But
every position.
Defense is already pretty strict, I would say. I think you have to be a really standout defensive player for your entire career to get into the Hall of Fame.
Dude, look at the numbers, though. So let's say, and I use fake numbers to illustrate points, but like, let's say at an average of 140 tackles per season, if you play more than 8 seasons, you get enough numbers to get into the Hall of Fame, okay? And that generates then every decade, 15 defensive players get into the Hall of Fame. In 1,000 years, you're going to have I can't do that math.
But that's just going to happen. Like, that's just going to happen.
Unless you get more strict.
But you're still going to get that accumulation. So let's say every year they let in 10 people into the Hall of Fame. If they restrict that down to 6 every year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Even you stretch that out over a 1,000-year period, you're still going to have a shit ton of people.
But you'll literally have half as many as what you would have had if you didn't cut it down.
Right, but it's kind of when you're thinking on a large scale, like 1,000 years, that's still a shit ton of people that you're letting in, regardless of what restriction you place. I don't think it's necessarily a restriction on how many people they let in. I think they just need to do a better restriction on who they let in. Like, I don't think Tony Romo's a Hall of Fame level quarterback.
No, absolutely not.
But statistically speaking, he's better than a lot of quarterbacks who are in the Hall of Fame already.
I want to know who votes for the Hall of Fame. Is it
journalists?
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's the reason why Terrell Owens didn't get into the Hall of Fame. What the fuck just happened? It's the same reason why Terrell Owens didn't get into the Hall of Fame last year. It's a journalistic grudge. I mean, statistically speaking, has better stats than Marvin Harrison.
He's like the Leo DiCaprio of the
and Chris Carter and
I'll never forget. I think it was Jerry Rice's last game as a 49er. Terrell Owens had 20 catches.
Yeah,
like it was including the game winner.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like, and as coming from a Colts fan who loves Marvin Harrison, there's no way that Marvin Harrison deserves to be in the Hall of Fame over Terrell Owens.
Really?
I absolutely believe that.
Doesn't he still hold the record for most catches in a season?
Yes, but Terrell Owens, I think, still had more catches, more receiving yards, and more receiving touchdowns.
All right.
And more quarterbacks that he called gay.
That's two different people that have destroyed Jeff Garcia. Okay. Actually, the Ed Reed reference I made earlier, do you remember the game where Ed Reed had a pick six and a forced fumble recovery for a touchdown against the Browns?
Yeah, when Jeff Garcia... Yeah,
that was the best.
I miss like 06 to 08 Ed Reed.
I think, okay, so some players make it on individual accolades or individual, or single game performances or something like that. Like if you broke, I don't know, most catches in a single game when Brandon Marshall did that to us.
What was that, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
He was still at the Broncos when that happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it was Jake Plummer throwing it to him, which is...
Probably Jay Cutler.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. But anyways, I like what they do of have an article of clothing of that player, just to mention. They don't get in the Hall of Fame, but like have Brandon Marshall's gloves from that game. Have Ed Reed's shoes from that Browns game. But they have to do that with more players, you know. I'm trying to think
they already kind of do it this way. Like they split up, like there's a certain number of modern era players that get eligible to be in the Hall of Fame, and then there's a certain number of past era players that get in the Hall of Fame. I think at this point, I mean, how many past era players are there left to get into the Hall of Fame? I think they should have, I think at this point they could do 2 separate Hall of Fames. Like just consider them both separate. Like you have the Hall of Fame with all the old players, the legends of the game, and then you can do a new Hall of Fame that, you know, takes into account the fact that everybody throws 45 times a game.
Yeah. Or was it you have to wait 4 years post retirement to be eligible? Then say if you haven't made it in 20 years, you're not getting in.
That's how they do it in baseball.
Really?
If you I think if you're up for nomination for the Hall of Fame, but you don't get it, I think 5 times in a row, you're not getting in. So I think they should do that. I absolutely think they should do that with NFL players. Once you hit, I think it's 5 years before you're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. And if you don't get in within, 5 nominations after that, you don't get in.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Because also then, too, that would make people more weary when they use nominations or when they nominate people.
Right.
In theory.
In theory, we trust.
So, are we naming this episode Abe FGOTUS?
I like Abe FGOTUS.
All right. We are at the 53-minute mark, so let's talk about some accolades. We
got 30 views on that YouTube video.
No, over 30.
Over 30?
Which I know that's like, God, it's a much larger number than I thought it would have been.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to keep doing the video and the YouTube thing.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
But man, that's between that and now we're not hosted on SoundCloud, and so our SoundCloud listens count separate than our Libsyn downloads.
Right.
We still have a perfect rating on iTunes. We have eclipsed 6,300 Twitter followers.
Eclipsed.
Yeah, like here's 6,300, and we're like the sun in front of it, because that's an eclipse. Wait, is the sun behind or in front?
Yes.
Nice.
Because I think it's one where I think the sun's being blocked by the moon in a solar eclipse.
Oh, and that lunar literally flip-flopped.
Is when.
Did you know Australia is wider than the moon? Is that weird to fucking think about? Like, if instead of the moon in outer space, it was just Australia, you'd be like, oh my god, it's so big tonight. And like, but you look up and it's like half the sky.
And then a fucking whip spider drops down and bites you.
Or a dingo takes your babies.
Or a fucking kangaroo comes out and starts choking your dog.
Man. Did you ever hear like why people have theorized that punching that kangaroo worked?
Probably because he wasn't expecting somebody to step up to him.
Oh no, it's not even. Kangaroos fight with kicks, like almost.
Well, they will fucking box too. Like they box.
Really?
Yeah, kangaroos will they fight like humans, but then they'll also use their tail to balance up and then kick somebody like with they have a claw on their feet that they'll like try to kick you with and try to rip your guts open.
That's gross.
So that's what you got to watch out for when you're boxing a kangaroo. If he gets up on that tail, you need to get back. Get behind him because kangaroos can't hop backwards.
And then just ride him.
Yeah. Put him in a sleeper hold.
Let me share a 41-second anecdote. When I was in the 8th grade, I was walking with my brother through our neighborhood, and we lived in the largest apartment complex in Louisville.
Known to man.
In Louisville, Kentucky. And it's kind of ghetto. Case in point being, and I know you haven't watched it yet, but that video of the racist white lady.
It's in Louisville.
Yeah. But that racist white lady at the mall that like goes off on Mexicans that cut her in line.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we're walking, and then this black kid walks past us, and he looks at me and goes, "Hey man, you go to my school?" And I'm like, "You go to my school?" And I'm just being silly, right? Because that's what I do. And he punched me, and he said, "What?" And I said, "We go to each other's school." But there was this. He
said,
moment,
"What?" Like 2002 Stone Cold Steve Austin.
God, every time I say an anecdote, I think of another anecdote because the Hannibal Buress joke. So not an anecdote, a Hannibal Buress joke. But when he's talking about Lil Wayne gets interviewed, and the interviewee goes, "Do you have any questions and for your fans?" And Lil Wayne goes, "I'm a gangster. Gangsters don't ask questions." And Hannibal Buress is like, "Gangsters ask questions all the time, like, fool, where's my money?" Or what? That's 2 questions. But anyways, this black kid. And he's like 2 grades below me, but he's black, so he's really like 5 years older than me. Punched me, and it hurt so bad, and I was so dazed for a moment. And when I saw that kangaroo get decked, I remembered that repressed memory.
You flash back to getting punched by a black kid.
Man, like people are like, "Have you ever been in a fight?" I'm like, "No." "Have you ever lost a fight?" "Yes."
Have you ever got your ass kicked?
I was not in that fight, but I did lose.
That's the worst way to lose one.
But then also, I'm like, nothing about me seems intimidating. Like
that is correct.
Yeah, I mean, but
Man
like,
bear?
I don't know why that black kid punched me. I'll never figure out.
Because he thought you were being a racist dick. Because you were being a racist dick. No, you go to my school.
You live and you learn. Yeah, so I feel
you live and you learn, and sometimes you get punched in the face.
I have a kindred connection to that kangaroo now.
I haven't. Since we're sharing anecdotes, I have an anecdote.
Please share.
I was gonna share it. I shared it on the Lost episode, so I figured I'll bring it back. Yeah. So
episode 29B.
It would have been a 30A.
30A,
is what it,
yeah.
what it was supposed to be. So I have an almost 2-year-old at home, with a 2-year-old boy, and I have another one on the way, and.
Boy.
anytime you've ever been around people, if you don't have kids, anytime you're around people that have kids, they're always like, "Oh, having kids is great. It's the best thing in the world." They're always make you so happy. They light up your life. They make you you just love them with everything you have. And I mean, those things are all true. But there is one thing that they don't tell you about having kids, which I will share with you. And that is, as a man, you get hit in the balls all the time. Like,
on purpose?
On purpose, on accident, I don't know. I don't care. But it's constant. Just a constant barrage of shots to the ball sack. And he's at like the perfect height where he can like run in for a hug, and I have to like be careful and like turn my pelvis away when he's coming for a hug, because he'll drop me like straight to the floor. I sat on the couch the other day. He brought a book over, and it was a pretty big book. It was like one of those search books where you like find the picture on the page.
Waldo?
It wasn't Waldo.
Was it the little golden bug?
No. But anyway, he brings this book over to me and tries to hand it to me, but he slings it into my crotch, so the corner hits me in the nutsack, and I almost cried for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you spend that time where you like fall down and you're doubled over and you're almost crying and you're almost about to throw up and you almost want to murder a 2-year-old. And that's like, that happens almost daily. And I did the math. The only way I could have taken more nut shots in the last 2 years if I had started mixing my White Russians with almond milk. And I'm trying to think. I've been trying to plot out how I could get my revenge without, getting CPS called on me. I think what's going to happen when his finally drop, I'm just going to wait, and one day when he gets out of the bathtub, I'm just going to give him a nice flick right in his.
I feel like, so you have large testicles, though.
Yes, I do.
So maybe it's not even on him. It's like, you need to wear a cup.
I thought about that, but most cups, they're not shaped for me. I have a very curvy package. My, like, real junk has curves.
Okay, we might name the episode Real Junk Has Curves.
And so most cups, like, my package just kind of spills out the sides, like my
like
wiener.
When a girl wears a bra too little.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
I should say woman. I always say girl in those instances. When a woman.
Subconsciously. But like, it kind of spills out the sides, and then the skin gets pinched against my thighs, and then it's uncomfortable. I really need to think of something. Maybe like wear a Kevlar vest just for my balls, or this to put it kind of into perspective, like how large my scrotal sack is. He, without stepping on my balls, he stepped on my nut sack and pinned me in place to where I couldn't move.
I keep picturing the dog from Joe Dirt that had his balls froze to the porch.
That's what it felt like.
Oh my god. It's weird. So this is the last thing I'll say, I swear to God. But like in ancient African culture, there are a lot of statues of individuals and people who in their own tribes were noted as being like the funniest one, or the comic, or the jester, or whatever.
The village idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, it was always the funniest person. And one commonality of all the statues was they had a huge dick, huge balls.
That's not the case. Well, huge balls.
Yeah, but there's two schools of thought. Well, one, he's black. But then the other one is, when you have larger male members or scrotal pouches, you can gain a lot of confidence, and when you're confident, you're more confident to be funny. And so I always think about that, because I have very small testes, if you will. And I think, and this is a true story, when I was
a huge dick.
When I was like 3rd or 4th grade, I had this weird thing where I liked setting my balls on the toilet seat and then putting the lid down on them. That's the equivalent of my Monster Rain story, is I just like to smash my balls in the toilet seat. And I have no idea. I think it's because that's the perfect height, and that was enrapturing, I think is the word.
I would just take the skin around my ball sack and just wrap it around my entire package.
Oh, that's incredible. You should just wrap the skin of your sack around your sack again and just have a 2-ply scrotum, and maybe that'll help with the nut shots.
Double layer. He the other day though, he did go in for a shot, and my wiener actually got in the way, and I was like, "Thanks, buddy."
To your son or the wiener?
Yes. I did get him to say wiener today, and I felt like a proud parent.
Don't you do "Where's your pee-pee"?
Yeah, I do. But I said we're trying to teach him. We're trying to potty train him.
Potty mouth train him.
Yes. And I was sitting him on the potty chair, and I said, "Now push your pee-pee down so you don't pee everywhere." And he's like, "Pee-pee?" I was like, "Yes, push your freaking wiener down," because he was starting to pee on the seat. I was like, "Push your wiener down." He looked at me, he goes, "Wiener?" And that's how I knew I did it.
Now, the first time he ever plays a video game, you're like, "You're the winner." And he'll be like, "Wiener?"
Wiener.
All right, so we're at 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 24 seconds.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's a healthy episode.
JakeandJoshPodcast.com for all of your Jake and Josh podcast related needs, wants, desires, wishes,
questions, comments,
concerns,
clips, quotes,
emergency services. Wait, don't call us for emergency services. Follow us on Twitter and
at Jake Josh Podcast,
which you can click the bird button on the website.
Yep.
Facebook, Jake and Josh Podcast on Facebook, which you can also click the link of on the website. Is our Instagram on the website?
I don't think so. But our Instagram is legit. We have been
Jake and Josh Podcast.
Yeah,
on Instagram.
In the Instagram, in the hashtag community. No, hold on. In the podcast community.
In the gay community.
In the podcast community, the hashtag Podern Family is the way we all stay connected. And Instagram will have like the top 6 posts of each hashtag. We are consistently in the top 6 for Podern Family, so that feels great. Posted some controversial stuff based on a previous episode this week and got a lot of feedback.
Nice.
A lot of lost listeners.
Yes.
Yes.
Even better.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
email
iTunes,
us.
email.
Use the little, use the letter on the website. You can comment directly on the episodes when you listen to them straight from the website.
I think to try to entice people to listen to multiple episodes, I'm going to start just randomly blurting.
Paul Blurting.
Paul Blurt Merkerp.
Poller Blart Mark Cart.
I'm going to start blurting just like one digit or number from my address in each episode, and then if you listen enough, you get to find out where I live and come kill me.
And then you get to take his place as the other host of the Jake podcast.
Welcome to the Jake and Please Don't Fucking Kill Me 2 podcast. All right, that's all we got.
The Jake and James Holmes podcast.
The Jake and H.H. Holmes pod. You don't know who that is.
God damn it. All right. Yeah. Rate and review us on Twitter. Not Twitter, iTunes. That was dumb. Why did I say Twitter?
I mean, if you rate and review us on Twitter, too, that'd be cool.
Rape and review us on Twitter. Rate and review us on iTunes.
This rape was a 9 out of 10.
8 out of 10. They didn't scream. All right. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Love you.